The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe. This is the United Podcast Network.
The following program is closed captioned for the thinking impaired.
By tomorrow, I will rule the world!
You think he's gone? He's not gone. That's the whole point. He's never gone.
Is this some radical new therapy?
You see?
Well, I must have not been paying attention when you were just talking to me. Do you think that you could repeat the question? And I listen more attentively. There must have been something in all of that nothing that wasn't quite so easy to see. And I must have missed something when you were just talking to me.
See, like 30 more seconds.
Must have not been paying attention.
I need an intern to do this for me. Shouldn't be doing this myself.
You should talk to Notre Dame Cristo Rey.
Yeah? I could use a couple of interns. All right, I think we're up on all of our platforms, I think. If we're not, I'm sure the audience will let us know.
Yeah.
All right, let's get over to here. All righty. Hi, how you guys doing? My name's Tom Duggan here at the Paying Attention Podcast. Hi, it's up. Two Guys Smoke Shop at the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe. Want to thank our fine sponsors, McLennan Real Estate, Sam and Janet and
They're the best.
and Matt. They're excellent. If you're looking to buy or sell a home, now is the time to do it. Make sure you give them a call. Tell them you're a fan of the Paying Attention Podcast or the Valley Patriot, and McLennan Real Estate will take care of you. AFC Urgent Care. We love Lisa Williams and her husband at AFC Urgent Care. You can go get your COVID test. You go online. You type in your information. They give you an appointment. You drive up. They swab you. You're done.
They're a Stop the Spreads site.
Right, yeah.
Doing a great job.
Marsan Construction, which we're still trying to get Ronnie Marsan on the show. At some point, we will get him here. Marsan and Son Construction, if you're looking to put on an addition on your house, a porch, you want your porch fixed, you need your roof fixed, give them a call. EIS Investigations. We love EIS Investigations. You can also get your gun certification at EIS. So if you're thinking about getting a gun permit, go to EIS Investigations. They'll give you all the training to get your gun. Borelli's Deli, we got our lunch today, Mr. Mayor. Now, when I went in and I told them, I said, I'm here to get a grilled bologna and cheese sandwich for the mayor. They said, we thought he got a turkey club. Is that true? You also get a turkey club?
I do.
Okay.
Occasionally.
Because they said they were used to making that for you, and they
Well-
wanted to know if that's what I really wanted.
So I prefer bologna and cheese, as everybody in the school department will tell you. I alerted them to tell me whenever it's bologna and cheese day.
Yes.
And I made the comment on one of the shows that I did, and Don Smuglio made me bologna and cheese. Bologna and cheese is not exactly the healthiest of lunches.
This
So
is true.
occasionally I like to convince myself I'm eating healthy.
Right.
Have a turkey club.
Every once in a while, I drink some water just to pretend I'm doing something healthy.
Amen. I'm with you.
Lenny Murray, State Representative Lenny Murray, he's going to be with us sometime later on this month. He is running for re-election, and he needs your help because he is a Republican. And in Massachusetts, we know the D's are coming down in droves. The Democrats are very angry about Donald Trump, and they're going to be voting D straight down the ticket, so he needs your help. Clear Path New England, we're going to have Jason back in a couple of weeks. Clear Path New England helps homeless veterans. They help veterans get service dogs. They help them with their get their VA benefits if they haven't gotten them, help them fill out their paperwork, and we're really looking forward to having them back. The North Andover Car Wash, love Bobby over at the North Andover Car Wash, and a free plug for 4-Star Lighting and Electric. We love 4-Star Lighting and Electric. So before I get to the mayor, I want to make a couple of comments about the debate. I'm pretty sure you've
Will
seen
you just shut up,
all
man?
of the. I'm pretty sure most people have seen the analysis of the debate. I'm sure most people saw at least part of the debate. Here's all I'm going to say about the debate. Shame on Chris Wallace. This guy's supposed to be a friggin' professional, right? I mean, I'm not even close to like the professional that Chris Wallace is. And I've done a ton of debates over my lifetime, and I could have handled that debate much, much easier than Chris Wallace did. And if you guys don't believe me, go back to last year and look at the mayoral debate between Jen Kinnan and Neil Perry.
Very respectful.
Because although they were very respectful, I mean, really, Trump and Biden are amateurs compared to what I had to deal with during that debate. And you know what? Here's the thing. You don't, if you're the debate moderator and they start interrupting each other and they start attacking each other, you don't inject. You don't get in and add a third voice to it because then people at home can hear nothing. If this guy was really a professional and not just a professional Trump hater, because that's what he is, Chris Wallace should have sat back and let them go after each other. And one of two things would have happened. Either people watching would have said, I'm not voting for either one of these two guys. They both act like children. Or one of them would have shined and the other one wouldn't have. And that's what it's supposed to be about. It's not supposed to be about Chris Wallace getting the result that Chris Wallace wants. So, I mean, I'm watching this going, like, why doesn't Chris Wallace just shut up and let them go? When Jen Kinnan and Neil Perry started going after each other, they were supposed to have only a 1 minute. Actually, we didn't even time it. But when one person was talking and the other person started interrupting, go back and watch that debate. I sat back and let them go. And they did. And one person shined and the other person didn't. And there were a couple of other debates. I think the West End debate, a lot of that went on. And there were two people yelling at each other. And I think the audience watched that and said, I'm not voting for either one of them. I think they both lost. So, you know, it really comes down to the control of the moderator. They don't need to shut off mics. They don't have to do anything. Just have a more professional moderator that knows how to handle people. And you would think that Chris Wallace would be able to handle it at least as good as Tom Duggan does. And yet he blew it. I think he blew it. Did you watch the debate, Mayor?
I watched it.
Really?
I watched it with my kids.
Yep.
It was disturbing on a number of levels, to be honest with you. And so I know you say, I don't think Jen and I ever, we passionately disagreed on certain topics. And to me, that's okay, but it's how you do it.
Right.
Right. And so you got to let people finish their point. You got to let, counterpoints be raised. So I kind of sort of agree with you on the Chris Wallace thing. I when I saw he was the first moderator, my understanding is it's going to be 3, right?
Right.
I expected he would take more control than he did.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit different than your view there. He, allowing the interruption doesn't let you hear what each of the candidates has to say, right? So I saw an analysis that said the people who were voting for either candidate didn't
Thought
see
the
anything.
candidate won.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. The view was what the view is, and that's hard. But
I think those who watched it once had the same reaction that I did. We had a little watch party going on in my office. We had a bunch of people, and we all were horrified by Trump's behavior.
Yeah.
But if you went back afterwards and watched it a second time, now you're not shocked by the behavior and you're actually listening to the content.
Yeah.
And I think on content, Trump just destroyed it on content. I thought on behavior, Trump was horrible. However, I watched it again this morning, so it's my third time I've watched it. And one of the things that I came away with watching the third time was they're painting Joe Biden as not Donald Trump. They're painting Joe Biden as he's the guy that's not insulting. He's the guy that doesn't, throw underhanded barbs at people. He's the guy that's patient. And he came out, telling keep yapping, shut up. And I think that took away a little bit of what the Democrats were trying to portray, trying to paint Joe Biden as. Yeah. Because the average person who doesn't like Donald Trump's, most people don't like Donald Trump, it's because they don't like him. They don't like his behavior. They don't like his style. And when you put up a guy there that says, shut up, stop yapping, all that, now you've got two guys whose style are pretty much the same. One's obviously more, but you kind of take away from, I'm the grown-up in the room. They were trying to paint that Joe Biden's like the grown-up in the room. And I think he blew that. I think at the end of the day, Trump probably gets a bigger bump than Biden does, only because of
I don't know. It's hard to assess because, like I said, a lot of people that I talk to I've got friends who are in both camps, let's say, and their view is what their view was before. Right. I think there could be a viable third-party candidate if it's too late for that probably now. But.
I'd love Tulsi Gabbard to run. I would love that.
So
if Biden had picked her as his running mate, I think he'd have a better shot. I think Tulsi would have been actually the best pick would have been Charlie Baker, right?
Charlie Baker.
Charlie Baker would have been the perfect vote, pick because he is a moderate Republican. He would get a lot of independents. He would have to obviously change his party, but let's face it. I mean, I like Charlie. He's my friend, but he's a Democrat. Let's face it.
He is?
You take him out of Massachusetts and put him in any other state, and he's a left-wing lunatic.
A left-wing lunatic. There it is. Yeah.
But he's in Massachusetts, where we're like a communist country, so he actually looks conservative, right? But I think Charlie Baker would have been the perfect
You're actually not
catch.
in Massachusetts. You're in Salem, New Hampshire.
Well, we are, but we live in Massachusetts.
You came through the COVID chainmail fence.
I did.
Yeah.
Nobody's wearing masks. Nobody's dying. There's no COVID. Everything's wonderful up here in New Hampshire. So, anyways, I just want two more things on the debate.
Yeah.
It was also structurally flawed because I've managed dozens of debates in my lifetime. First of all, no opening and closing statements. I get no opening statement, right? Opening statement's just a waste. We all know who you are. Closing statements are very important to wrap things up, to make sure you get that one point out that maybe you didn't during the debate. The other thing was there's no follow-ups. So you can't say I'm going to give 2 minutes to one candidate, 2 minutes to another candidate, and when the second candidate goes, he says, you raped my dog. Well, now he can't answer that, right? Yeah. Like no matter what he says, the first person can't answer that. Yeah. So it gives candidates an opportunity to drop bombs.
I don't know anybody can answer that.
That can't be answered. And I just think structurally the whole debate, they should have had closing statements. They should have had at least a rebuttal time. And again, shame on Chris Wallace. You've got 90 minutes and you picked 6 topics. And then you threw in a 7th while you were at it. You threw in global warming, which was not on the approved list. So you've now got 90 minutes divided by 7 topics with no follow-up. That's a recipe for disaster. I don't care if you got 2 people running for zoning board. That's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
So anyways, I know you're probably running in Kasich anyway. I don't think you're voting for either one. Are you going to vote for either one of these two?
I don't know.
You just don't want to say.
I don't. No.
All right.
No.
I'm going to make you say it, though. That's what this show is all about.
I voted for Kasich last time. You've talked about that before.
Yep.
The older I get, and I'll just say this, the harder it is to find a candidate at the national level who really excites me on what they're going to do. And that I'm not trying to insult the Democrats or the Republicans. It's just I'm looking for somebody who can set aside some of the partisan differences and move the country forward.
I think what shocked me was that the Democrat Party spent the last 10 years vilifying rich white men. Rich white men are the problem with all the problems in society are from rich white men. And they do it at their rallies, and everything is an attack on rich white men, everything. And then they nominate a rich white man to represent them. I mean, where's the diversity? We always hear about diversity, and we always hear about why? If he really cares about diversity, why doesn't he step aside and let Kamala Harris be the she's a woman and she's black and she's half Indian. She'd be perfect. She represents the Democrat Party today. Joe Biden doesn't. I think he should just step aside and let her be the candidate because he's rich and he's white. He's got white privilege. He should be stepping aside if he really cares about all these things. But anyways, all right, that's not why we have you here, but I just kind of thought that would be fun.
I try not to engage in the national scene.
Well, that's actually
there's enough going on at the local level.
Smart. Yeah. Now with the presidential race almost over, we've got 33 days or so. People are already now starting, because this is just what happens in every election cycle, that people are already starting to think about running for local office next year. Yeah. Right? We've got 9 or 12 candidates. Are you actually going to ask me this? I am. Right. There's 9 to 12 candidates in Lawrence running for mayor because Dan Rivera can't run for re-election. He's termed out. Yeah. So I think you've got like 11 candidates now. Yeah. You have not made a decision, or you haven't said if you've made a decision if you're going to run for re-election. I've made a decision. You have made a decision. Sure. Would you want to tell people on my show? I'm going to run for re-election. You are? Yeah. And I say that, so 2 years is a pretty short time frame, COVID. I'll say quite frankly, I love this job. I love this job because I love the city. I didn't take the job because of the pay. I didn't take it because of the glory. I made plenty of mistakes, and I'll answer for those. I'll stand in front of the people and stand on what I've been able to accomplish in the first 2 years. But there's a lot of things that I want to do for the city of Methuen, for my kids, for the future of the people of Methuen. And I'm going to try to keep doing those. And if other... So thank you, Ben. That'll get a lot of feedback. And if other people want to run, that's fine. I'm not, and I know other people will be running, and that's okay. And if the people decide, I think Jessica's going to run against you. Yeah, well, I'm hearing things. That's up to her. But if people, decide that, if Council Finicaro runs and people decide she'd be better at the job, that it is what it is. Right? I say this,
I would be in better financial position drawing my Social Security check, sitting in a beach chair reading a book.
Listen, that's what I'd be doing. As much as I want you to run for re-election, if it was me, I'd be on a bungalow somewhere in the Dominican Republic with a fishing rod in the water.
Yeah, I'd probably just go to Salisbury or Seabrook. Or,
but
I love the ocean.
Yeah, but you go to Salisbury or Seabrook, it's all like Merrimack Valley people. It's like people.
I love my peeps.
Yeah, but see, I'd rather just be on a beach with no people.
See,
I want no people at all.
So people might say, you were frustrated. So I think we're starting to get there, right? That doesn't. So does that mean that the council's going to agree with everything? No, and I don't expect them to. But we've done some good things. We've got more good things coming. I'm going to talk about one of them related to COVID. So we had a solution we were looking at for something else in the city, and we've moved it forward from a COVID perspective because we're one of the red communities, as is Haverhill, as is North Andover, as is Lawrence. And I think Drake it is too this week. So we've got to address it, and we've got to appeal to people's sense of personal responsibility there, but we're going to give them some tools. We're going to, bring on board some enforcement agents. We're going to do some things there. But, a little later in the show, I'm going to talk a little bit about one of the things that we're doing on the website and how we're intending to move it forward, right? And that's a big thing, all right? Because to me, how you communicate to the city. So I think, people, whether they like me or dislike me, could say I communicate a lot more than previous administrations. And that's not casting an aspersion on anybody, right? I do your show. I do my show.
How many days a week is your show now? Once a week?
It's usually twice.
Twice?
Yeah, we do. So I'm doing a show today.
Today?
Yeah. We call it.
What the hell is this?
You know how they do a debate follow-up? We're going to do the Duggan follow-up, right? Here's what Tom said that was wrong. No, I'm just kidding.
That I'd be okay with. That I'd be okay with.
Well, that show would be an 8-hour show.
Yeah,
so
probably.
I can't film
Have you found, and I hate to say this out loud, but I've actually been thinking it for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Have you found that the crap that you've put up with from the city council over the last year, and I mean, and I don't mean like everything they do, I mean like the stupid stuff they do, but have you found that having them be somewhat of a political adversary on every issue, like if you wanted to like move a stop sign, there'd be 3 people voting no and questioning your motives. Yeah. Have you found that they've made you a better mayor? I think they've made you a better mayor.
I think that's true.
Yeah.
So I say this to you, our relationship, it's like any relationship. It forms, it's a form, storm, norm, perform, right? And that's that's the dynamics of grouping, right? They make me rethink things, and that's not always bad. Do I always like the way they say things to me about No.
Well, they act like children, but I think...
Well, I'm not going to get to that. I think there's things I've done that have been wrong, and there's things they've done that have been wrong.
But what you consider wrong is like losing your temper after your integrity was attacked 5 times.
Yeah.
And you think that's wrong. I don't think that's wrong at all. I think there are times when you have to put your foot down and say, no, this stops here.
Yeah, I guess the people of Methuen expect more. What I see from the people of Methuen is they're tired of the sitcom.
Right.
They want us to manage the city professionally. And I'm going to say, you put something on Facebook, the Tribune put it out, related to discipline of city employees.
Mm-hmm. Did the Tribune mention names?
It did not.
Okay,
there was another person
I purposely did not.
There was another person who posted it. And I say this to you with all great respect. That's something that doesn't belong in the media, in my mind. Not yet. Employees have rights, right? So every comment I've made, whether it was to you or to the Tribune, is I'm not going to comment. It's a personnel matter. And, we're addressing it. What the people of Methuen need to understand is we are addressing it, right? There's a responsibility for professional environment, and that's it, period. Mm-hmm. Right?
I just agree that it's not news, though. If you have public employees who are in 2020 behaving this way while they're at work, and action is taken because of it, I think that is news. Let me also say in full disclosure, I think most of these sexual harassment laws are bullshit. I think most of these sexual harassment laws are ridiculous. Yeah. Somebody tells a joke, somebody tells a woman that he likes her dress at work, and suddenly it becomes sexual harassment. I don't know what they exactly. I was told what they did.
Yeah.
And I actually have a copy at home. I haven't read it yet of the complaint.
How did you get that? So don't say you got it from me.
I can't say.
So I never called saying you. To the union and to I've never given anything.
I didn't quote you. I never called you.
Yep.
I didn't want anybody to think it came from you.
Yep.
It came from someone else.
Yep.
And I didn't even write a full story. I just posted the breaking news that 3 city employees.
4.
I'm sorry, I thought it was 3. 4 city employees were suspended for sexual harassment.
Yep.
There's also another issue concerning harassment of a gay individual in the DPW that's making its way, I think, through MCAD. Is that still working its way through MCAD?
It is.
And so I've kind of held back on that one because I want to see what MCAD does.
Yep.
But I just disagree slightly. I think.
So go back to your story about.
I think it would have been over the line had I used the names.
Go back to your story about telling a joke.
Right.
I want to send you to the training too. Because as somebody who in his past private life, an executive, had to go through, every year you have to go through sexual harassment training. And to me, I don't often respond to Facebook. I've done a much better job. I saw some comments saying, you mean people don't have to go to sexual harassment training in city government? And it's staggering to me too. They do now. Right?
But why though? I mean, sexual harassment training is don't comment about women's looks.
No.
Don't tell jokes in class.
No.
I've been to several sexual harassment trainings. It's ridiculous. I sat through most of it going, I mean, this is all stuff everyone knows. Things that you're not supposed to do.
We're going to respectfully agree to disagree here.
All
right? So it's much more than that. So remember that what is acceptable one day doesn't make it acceptable forever. Right? You can laugh all you want.
That's the problem.
But it's not
the problem with sexual harassment.
Everybody has rights, Tom.
Yeah.
Everybody has rights. So you
but how
can't
is telling
sit there
a joke
and say
violating somebody's rights?
Because I can sit there, you can tell a sexual joke right now, and I can sit here and kind of smirk because it makes me uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. Right? In the moment, I don't have to talk about it. Right? If it bothers me, I have the right to complain about it. Right? Everybody has the right.
But why would
to
a joke?
Workplace.
But why would a joke bother you?
Why would a joke have to have that in it at work? This is a workplace. This is not a locker room.
Right.
Right. That's what the point is. This is not. We're not in high school. We're adults.
But on the one hand, we say women are equal. I get crap on this today on my Facebook page for something that I posted exactly like this.
Yeah. You're going to get more based on what you just said.
On the one hand, women are equal and men and women are the same. We're supposed to treat them the same. On the other hand, women are wilting flowers who they're going to lose sleep at night because you told a joke. So we have to make all these rules. So which is it? Just be consistent. Tell me which it is.
So just for the viewing audience, see, you made a switch there. So I want to make sure people follow you. I didn't pick a gender. Mm-hmm. Any gender has the right to be offended by a comment, a statement, an act, whatever. Right? That is not related to one gender more than another gender.
No, but we know how it breaks down.
I'm going to send you.
We know how it breaks down, though.
No, we don't. You just made a comment before that would disprove that, but I won't point that out. Don't worry about the smoke. You have to understand this is 2020, mm-hmm. and we are going to send you to what's it called when you get kept back? When you get trained again? What's the word I'm looking for?
Retrained?
Yeah, we're going to get you retrained in sexual harassment training. So that's the reason private industry sends you to that every year, because the laws change, the requirements change, and you need to be cognizant of it. And basically, leaders need to lead.
Yep.
Right? And so, for anybody who's watching, I got to get this out. For anybody who's watching, I am intolerant of that. Intolerant. And I won't put up with it in the public workspace because the people of Methuen deserve better. Right. And that's regardless, right? So,
don't you think it's kind of an overreaction? Like, I understand if a guy's actually sexually harassing. See, we took the word harass out of sexually harassing, right? And now it's anything sexual. If a guy's actually harassing a woman at work, asking her out, following her to her car, calling her out after hours, that's sexual harassment. Telling a joke is not sexual harassment. You tell a joke and they say, don't do it again, and Ben, they do it a third time, and they do it a fourth time, then it's harassment.
Ben, can you get Tom signed up for the training?
It's ridiculous. I just think all these sexual harassment things are ridiculous.
T-O-M, right, Tom?
Yeah. Yeah.
On the other hand, even though I feel that way, I still think that it's news if a city employee is suspended for
and once again,
such an issue.
So, it's not going to impact the relationship, but we respectfully disagree there.
Yeah.
Employees have rights. In this country, not just criminally, you have the right until what is charged is proven.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's essential in our jurisprudence system.
But that's why I didn't mention the names.
Yeah,
Had it been proven, I would have. Had it gone through that level, I would have mentioned the names. In fact, one of them is related to a city councilor, and you have no idea how hard it was for me not to mention that name.
One of them is related to.
The son.
Lost me there.
The son of us.
Okay. Well, no, you're wrong.
That's what I was told.
If that's the names you got, you're wrong. Mm-hmm. So, all right, count that. Hopefully the union's watching and saying, I don't know where you got your names. They're wrong. Yeah. I guess the point is that everybody has a right, right? And so the city of Methuen is going to provide annual sexual harassment training. We had started some, to be honest with you, when COVID struck, and we're going to finish up DPW, and then we're going to move up to other groups. At the root cause here, when I look back and I peel, we didn't have a full-time HR department, right? And that's a big, for a business this size, you have to take that seriously. And so, I end this period of discussion by saying to you...
Are you also doing racial sensitivity? Because we have to worry about racial sensitivity, too. But racial sensensitivity, sexual sensitivity...
He's just hitting all the buttons today.
All this sensitivity that we have to worry about. And I'm just... we have to worry. Are we teaching critical race theory in Methuen now, too? That, white people are bad and we're inherently racist and all the stuff that Trump just got rid of?
I don't think... I don't think I heard anybody say white people are inherently bad, right? What I heard people say is we need to make continued strides towards all people being treated the same, and I support that.
Yeah, good people are good. Who's against that?
Good people are good.
Bad people are bad.
What was the example I gave you for the show? You are a big fan of police officers.
I am.
I am too.
Yep.
Right? There are some bad police officers. Is that not a true statement?
Yes, I've exposed several of them in my newspaper.
They make the good ones. They do damage to the good ones in my mind. Right. Well, the same thing is true on the other side of the fence. Right. Protesters are not all, violent thugs who riot and destroy.
No, but the rioters are all bad. And I think if you're a member of Black Lives Matter, you're bad. Just like if you're a member of the Klan. I don't think there's any good members of the Klan out there. You can't say you're labeling and stereotyping the Klan. I don't know anybody who's a member of the Klan that I would say is a good person.
Well, we had an event where Black Lives Matter participated in Methuen.
Yeah, I know.
It was look at the disdain in that answer. And it went remarkably well.
If you're naive, it went extremely well.
I'm not naive.
I love you, and you're still my friend, but I would have to disagree with you on that.
That's fine. We will agree to disagree yet again.
On their own website, they call for destruction of the nuclear family, defunding police.
Yeah.
They praise Marxism.
Yeah.
And so it's no different than the Klan. It's only on the other side. It's white people are bad. White people are inherently racist because they're white. 400 years of oppression, white privilege. And this is the stuff that Trump just got rid of in the federal government, this critical race theory stuff. Listen, I'm all for, if they just didn't go too far, I'm all for sexual harassment training, racial sensitivity training, if it's fair and even, if it's fair and equal. I'm all for that, but it never is. And I remember when I worked at the IRS, we had to go to racial sensitivity training, and it was a friggin' joke.
Yeah, when you say racial, so Tom, when you say racial sensitivity training, I think so each of us, whether you want to admit it or not, one of the more important things I learned when I was Raytheon is the concept of unconscious bias.
Oh, God help us.
Well, it's true. So you are the person you are. You have an innate fabric inside of you that was developed by the time you were 10 years old by the people closest to you. Mm-hmm. So they impacted how you think, how you act, etc. And
impacted, but don't dictate.
Hang on. So there are certain things that happen in your life, significant emotional events, which we know you've had some, that impact, that can alter that, right? But you have to understand, nobody would sit there and say, let's go to a less harmful, if I'm interviewing, right, whether you know it or not, you're interviewing, you're looking for a candidate who is you. That's what you're looking for. That's what your subconscious is telling you. Find me in that mix. You have to know that that's there so that you can overcome it and look at the attributes of people. It's why many people look at it. How do I say this? If I didn't know Ben and I knew you and you both interviewed for the same position, you're getting an advantage because you already have a relationship that's up here. Mm-hmm. He is a stranger, right? He hasn't built that. And that's an element of bias, right? So there's all these different kinds of elements of unconscious bias. Those impact you. If I have my way, if we can afford it, when we're finished the sexual harassment training, we will talk to leaders in the city about that. We haven't provided any leadership training in the city for eons, right? The much ballyhooed, and I'm sure it's going to come up during the show, executive session. Well, let's dispel all the rumors. I did not lose my temper and start cursing at the councils. And as much as I'd like to believe I'm the great intimidator, it's not true.
I wish it was sometimes.
The meeting was held on Zoom, so I don't intimidate people on Zoom even as much as I might in person. And I don't think I do in person, to be honest.
I was a little upset, by the way, when I saw the Tribune story about the hacking situation.
Were you?
Because I had it the day after you guys had your executive session. Someone called me and told me about it.
Yeah.
I spoke with you about it.
We've got leaks in the city of Methuen. I've got to get some cement.
You're never going to be able to plug my leaks. You're never going to be able to plug my leaks. But what I'm saying is I purposely held the story because I didn't want to hurt Methuen.
Yeah.
I didn't want other hackers to realize that you guys were vulnerable and then hit you guys while you were...
Yeah. And that's the reason why we did an executive session, which you said right there.
Unfortunately, I did make it clear to you and Jana that I'm going to hold this because if this was anyone else, they would be publishing this. They wouldn't care about Methuen or they wouldn't care about other hackers getting you. If this was the Tribune, they would publish it. And I held it on the condition that I get the story when you guys were ready. Yeah. And then I read it in the Tribune and I'm like, they got my story that I held.
Yeah.
Out of deference to you guys, and the Tribune get the story first. Like, that kind of seems wrong to me.
Does it?
I guess.
So I'll apologize to you, but I don't.
I've never asked you for a story first. I've never been in your office.
Yeah, that's
contrary
true.
to what people think, I've never.
That's true.
We don't talk on the phone during the day.
We don't have you in for lunch in the office.
I've never done that. But if I get a story and I'm holding it, out of deference to you guys, I don't want the Tribune to have it because otherwise, next time I get a story, I'm not holding it. I'm going to blow it out.
Yeah. Well, so I'm not sure how exactly that happened.
I'm not either.
I was involved in releasing it to Ribs, so I'll take ownership of that.
All right, okay. So I haven't seen too much conflict and controversy over the last couple of meetings. Things seem to be looking a little bit more smoothly. I mean, a little bit. Well, Jessica's always like we that's a given, right?
I didn't say the name.
We know what Jessica's going to do before she does it, and that's just who she is, and that's fine. But overall, though, there seems to be less.
Can I just say one thing before you get off,
sure.
Councilman Finnegan? I really wish she would tell me what I've done to offend her.
I don't want to speak I don't want to speak out of school, but I was told that you or someone in your office physically threatened her back in like January or February, and she's never gotten over it.
That is not true.
Yeah.
So, just it's like the story going around about intimidating the councils on the executive session. Even my EEO is not that large that I would buy into that theory, right? And you've seen in public. I think one of the things I want to talk about is there's a way to. So we just had 3 topics where we disagreed,
right? And we're still playing Cards Friday.
It doesn't mean that we have to be at each other's throat because we disagree. So
here's the difference. I don't question your motive as being a bad person because you don't see it the way that I see it. I think a lot of people think that you see things the way they see it, and therefore you're doing something different than they would do, and therefore that makes you a bad person. You're purposely trying to do bad things. Maybe. And I think we need to get away from that. Yeah. We disagree on a lot of things. We agree on a lot of stuff, too.
We have very different political backgrounds.
We disagree on a lot of stuff, but we're still friends. I mean, I grew up in a time when Auntie Dottie and Uncle Frankie, we would have dinner every night, and they would pull down the shades because there was always going to be yelling at the table. And whatever was on the front page of the paper, whether it was abortion, the death penalty, whatever, would be the topic of discussion at the table. And I was against the death penalty at the time when I was younger. My brother Danny was for it. Uncle Frankie was against it. Auntie Dottie was for it. And we would yell and scream, but there'd be no insults because it's family. And when we were all done yelling and screaming about you're wrong because dinner was over, we all piled into the car and we went to Dairy Queen together.
Sure.
And that's the way we were brought up. And I think the loss of the dinner table discussion in America
I agree with that.
has led us to where we are today, where people just can't agree to disagree and still be friends. Like,
see, we're at the 35-minute mark of the show. We finally agree on something.
see that?
Yeah.
So thanks for coming. Good night.
Dinner table discussions, right?
Yeah.
We've lost the dinner table. My hours are so crazy. I don't eat with my kids.
Yeah.
My kids. They
Great
still
kids,
live with
by
me.
the way.
They are great kids, and I'm very proud of them. My son Matt turned 30 Monday. The lawyer.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Matt. Love you, kid. He's the best.
What kind of law does he do?
He does all kinds of law. He works for a law firm in Andover.
Mm-hmm.
He's done a lot of unemployment law. And I had him and my daughter and my other son, my youngest son, who's a PhD student at Lowell. They came over to watch the debate. They made dinner for us, and we sat there. And I got to sit there. Of all the jobs I've had in my life, some of them I've been good at, some of them I haven't been good at. I'm most proud to be a father, right? So I got great kids, and I learn from them every day. So politically, they're in a very different place than I am.
They're probably very liberal because they're young.
They
right?
are.
Yeah,
They
I
are.
would imagine.
But they say things that make me sit there and go, that's a very interesting way to look at it, right? So my son, the lawyer, was extremely interested in the discussion on the Superior Court justice the other night. So that was, breathtaking. But, I started this by saying, but rarely do we get a chance to eat dinner together.
Right.
Right? Because it's just, between their lives and my life, it's just like constant chaos.
Sure.
So
there's nothing wrong with disagreeing with somebody. It's when you make it personal.
Correct.
And when people come on my page and say, Tom, you're wrong. I can't believe you're wrong about this. I never block anybody. I never get mad. I never get angry. Yeah. It's when the personal attacks. You're just a racist, or you're just this, or you're just that. Then it becomes a fight. And I think we need to step back a little bit and try and understand where the other person's coming from, even if, and maybe especially if they're wrong. Yeah. Especially if you think that they're wrong.
I think, part of it is...
That's what people who hate you coming on this show don't understand. Those people don't understand.
Well, those people would understand that the basis of it, I always keep my word. I always keep my word. When I give my word, I keep it. And that'll be something that we talk about going forward. I've started interviewing people for boards and commissions. We're up to about 20 applicants. I've done about 6 or 7 interviews in the last week or so. It's interesting discussion, but I'm not looking for people who absolutely have to be yay Neil supporters.
Right.
But what I'm also not looking for is people going to go to Facebook and try to rip the internal innards out of the city.
Right.
I want people who are going to serve on a board and commission and try to move whatever that specific avenue is within the city forward. Right. That's what boards and commissions are for. There's so much negativity. This is where it ties into the national. There is so much negativity. It's so much easier just to criticize than it is to get involved and help fix something. And so I say, even if I don't get reelected mayor, it's not the end of the world to me.
Well, you've still got a life.
Yeah, but I love being the mayor of Methuen, not because I love the title and not because I love the office or anything like that. I'm telling you, I know I did this for the right reasons, and I know I'm trying to move the city in a positive direction. And when I leave here, whether it's a year from November, or it would be a year from January, or 2 years after that, I'm going to be able to look at myself in the mirror and say, I did the best I could do. Mm-hmm. Does everybody agree with everything I make? No. Do I make mistakes? You betcha. Right? But it's a simple fact that I want Methuen to be the wonderful city that it can be. And some of this stuff that, is playing out on social media has got to stop.
Well, can I give you some advice, though?
Yeah. And by the way, let me cut you off for 1 second. And I'll let you. Yeah. So I'm not saying you can't criticize the mayor on social media, because I know the anti-Neils will say, oh, he said we can't. You absolutely can. Right? It's airing the dirty laundry over employees that got disciplined and their names. That crosses a line.
I agree. If until they've been convicted, that crosses a line.
Right. It's suggesting that there was a conspiracy theory on something that we've already gone public on, right? We had cyber attacks, not attack, on the city. We had to make a decision, right? So much like some people say COVID will go away November 5th, I don't believe that, by the way. There are people who are saying, oh, you just did that because you presented to council that the infrastructure needed to be updated and you couldn't get it done. I got to be honest with you. The day of the executive session, and I throw this out to the councils, and I let the councils talk to the public about this, because what I'm going to say is the truth, was the day I came back from my pancreatitis attack. I hadn't taken a day off because it happened July 4th. I was hospitalized, and I came back. We're right in the middle of the budget thing. There were lots of bumps and bruises in the budget hearings, as you remember. The last thing any mayor of sane mind would do is go to council in an executive session during budget time and ask for an expenditure to do what we did. Right? So I waited, and my office can tell you this truth. We ran through it with the CAFO, with the chief of staff, with the IT company. I made them go into explicit detail because I come from a high-tech background, right? And I've said this on the show, I was horrified at what I saw when I came to the city. But this wasn't some scheming plot, right? There's no conspiracy theory here. There's nothing there, right? And while you might want to believe that's true, all the councilors who were in the room when we had the discussion would tell you that it was not like a fist fight. It was a discussion of, we've got a problem. What do we do?
I knew that you were okay when you came out of before I got the tip the next day of what you guys discussed. I watched you guys I watched you come out of executive session, and I watched Steve Saber agree with you, and I said, he's okay.
Yeah.
If Steve Saber's sitting there going, no, this is the right thing to do, and because he votes against, I know he's looking for any chance he can to vote against anything you want.
I don't know.
So
I don't know.
So as soon as I saw that, I said, you know what, McCarty's probably full of crap on this one. I think Neil's going to be okay.
Yeah. There's the sauce. The sauce was revealed there.
I would never confirm that.
Yeah. That's okay. I mean, so I want to tell you a story, and hopefully the chair's okay with it. So I meet every week with all of the councils except one, and that is by that councilor's choice.
Yeah, Jessica just refuses to sit down with
I'm not going to talk about who it is. But after the last council meeting, we had meetings come up right again. So we had the council meeting, I think it was Tuesday because of the Labor Day holiday. And then the chair and I sit down on Wednesday. We sat down yesterday. We don't agree on everything. It's a dialogue as far as I'm concerned, right?
Shame on anybody that agrees with everybody.
I absolutely. That's what makes diversity makes us great. I knew I'd get you to say it.
Diversity of ideas makes us great.
Diversity.
That I agree with.
You could just stop after diversity.
Well,
diversity
not really.
makes us great.
Not really. Japan has no diversity, and they're pretty great.
He's always got an answer.
Well, because this is my job. I think about this stuff 24/7.
I'm going to hit you with Sweden and the herd mentality.
Yeah, go ahead, because they're doing great.
When was the last time
they're
you
doing
looked?
great compared to us? They're still doing great.
Are they?
Yeah,
Spain
compared to
too?
us.
Spain too?
Spain went the other way.
Yeah.
Spain went full lockdown.
Yeah.
And they're doing terrible.
Yeah. Anyways, I had a discussion with the chair yesterday, and he said, how come we're not meeting every week now? Because we had a meeting.
Oh, you mean Jim McCarty?
Yeah. So the meeting came right after the council meeting, and I said, so I actually was kind of pleased that he said, okay, we should have the discussion. He's right. Yeah. I was wrong to cancel the meeting.
I don't know where Jessica gets the idea that every single thing that you discuss should be out in public. That's not how government works at any level. I mean, not the state level, not the federal level, not the local level. And I know that she really believes this, and that's why it's hard to be mad at her because she's doing what she believes. But she doesn't think anybody should ever talk about anything outside of the public realm. And that's no way to get things done. I remember Andrew Mailer, when he was the town manager in North Andover, would sit down with two selectmen members at a time and say, look, I'm thinking about redoing Main Street. Here's my proposal. Here's what I'd like to do. And if 3 of the 5 members said, no, we don't really like that idea, then he's not going to waste his time going down that road, getting planning and hiring people and getting an architect and all that.
Yep.
And that's how executives such as yourself or Andrew Mailer or any other executive, Dan Rivera and Lawrence, That's how they weed out like wasting time on issues that aren't going to get passed anyway.
Yeah.
And try to figure out like what direction do they want to go in, and then go in that direction.
So so having discussions about what's good for the city of Methuen and what we're thinking is not backroom dealing, right? So people disagree with some of the discussion around assistant solicitor. Hey, you're right to have the view that you want.
Right.
The assistant solicitor has always worked for the city side of the government.
Right.
People point to the charter and say, the charter says there should be a legal department. Elsewhere in the charter, it also says that person reports to the city side of the government.
Right.
That is not a change. That's a change that the council wanted. That's a change that this mayor refused. Because in the absence of that, I need legal support, right? We have to remember we're all working for the city, not against each other.
Right.
Right? Council has a solicitor. They also have a hired outside counsel. I agree with them that, we've got KP Law working on the Spears arbitration. And if you remember one of the meetings last year, I was accused of bringing KP Law in all the time and overspending. That's not the arbitration has been going on for years. KP Law was brought into Methuen long before this guy became mayor, right? There was even discussion at one of the previous council meetings about a couple of weeks ago
changing
a recipe for disaster at this point.
Right. That's why I was all for it.
Yeah, I'm sure you are.
Yeah.
So long story short,
police union was all for it too, by the way, to let you know.
So we can agree to disagree on certain things without getting personal about it, right? And that's the thing. And so I say this candidly. I'm not going to I'm very transparent. If Council Finicaro wants to run for mayor, that's okay. Yeah. I'm not going to go out and say she's a bad person. She's not. I don't think she is.
No, I think she's a good person. I just think she's wrong.
Well, not in everything.
No, she does a phenomenal job on some things.
Yep.
And I actually want to have her here to talk about her substance
I'd love
misuse.
to be on the show with her.
Listen, I tried.
Yeah.
And the answer that I got was, I am not looking for an olive branch, Tom. That was the answer that I got. So it's never, at least not right now, it's ever going to happen. I'd love to have the two of you here come in and work things out, even if you end up yelling at each other. It's good. It's great podcast. It's great radio. But also, I think something good could come of it.
Yeah.
But she's just not ready yet.
Yeah. Hey, so I want to talk, before we get too far into the program, I want to talk about, so today, we have invested some of the CARES Act funding in developing a methodology that I want to say we originally bought it to use for our DPW.
Right.
For tasking. And
you bought what?
It's a system called See-Click Fix, and you can go look it up online. If you watched my show today, I'm going to walk you through how to use it. I know you hate that.
Like you're here. You're here.
You don't do slides though.
We can do slides. All you have to do is give them to me before we get here.
Okay, I would have done that if I had known.
But why in the same day? Like you can't have a show the same day. You're killing.
Well, it's a different topic.
But you're killing our viewership.
Well, not everybody watches your show.
I know, but people who see mine and see yours, it kills my.
My show, people get to ask questions.
Kills my ratings. Well, we've got some questions from some audience members if you want them, but I thought you had some other topics you wanted to get to.
Away. Let me finish with the COVID. So on the city website is a link to the See-Click Fix, which I started to say we originally invested in it so that we would not be giving paper jobs out to our DPW's employees, so that we could, send them to spots all over the city and kind of track, how many complaints we had from this neighborhood or this district or this zone and what they were. Were they paving related? Were they road related? Were they trash pickup? And that's still going to come. We're working on that because there's a lot to building it. But in the interim, we were preparing for, when we saw the red 3 or 4 weeks ago, we accelerated the plan and said, hey, we could use this in the interim to report COVID violations, right? Because our health inspectors are pretty busy and we're trying to prioritize what we're looking at. Your mayor has been driving around to parks and talking to people about, what's going on. Sorry. I do it all the time.
I know you do.
So we are hiring 2 part-time enforcement agents who are going to work
the masked police
2 to sundown, Monday through Friday. And then on the weekends, 11 o'clock in the morning to like sundown. and we're going to split those up so that they don't get benefits. So if you're interested, apply. They're code enforcement officers to go around, do kind of what I've been doing. We're seeing a lot of people that are getting active and not complying with the COVID guidelines. Large gatherings, playgrounds, etc. There's also going to be a place on the website where people can go and say, hey, go to this address, because right now people text them or call, and we really want to have a track of them so that we know. We've been to Tom Duggan's house like 5 times, right? He's a problem. So when we go there, cite him right away.
So in summary, you're going to have masked police.
Mask police?
Yeah.
They're much more than mask police.
And social distancing police.
Yeah.
And you're driving around in parks and telling people to wear their masks.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah. And you're saying that there's been lots of gatherings that aren't supposed to be happening.
Well,
and people aren't really doing what they're supposed to. So I guess my follow-up question is, where is the huge spike as the result of all that? Is there a huge spike as the result of all of that?
Oh yeah. Look at our numbers this week.
All right, we'll talk about that.
What do you mean talk about it?
What are your numbers?
62 cases this week. 62 brand new cases.
Yeah.
Right, including 17 kids under the age of 19. So that's pretty dramatic. Especially happened the week before we planned to go back hybrid. Can
you finish that though? 60 new cases. How many sicknesses? How many deaths?
Well, no deaths.
No deaths. How many sicknesses?
62
out of 16. Wait, no. How many new cases? 62.
62,
and they're all sick.
They're all sick.
So that none of them are just having
asymptomatic.
None of them are asymptomatic. So you have 17 new sick COVID patients.
We had somebody in City Hall contract it.
17 out of 62.
Yep.
Get that. Okay, so that's up. Right.
So we can debate whether, somebody put a comment on Facebook that I thought was really good. Is the virus getting weaker? Is the impact? I don't know. That's a debatable topic, right? It may not be as impactful for younger people, right? But younger people can bring it asymptomatic to people like you and I that have underlying risk, and it could be far more difficult for us if we got it, right? Or for Grammy or Grandpa in the home, right? And so I'm worried about the whole community, not once. Sorry. It was the fire chief.
That was the sissiest ringtone I have ever heard in my life. Oh my God, I can't believe I just heard that.
Diana DeZaglia likes it.
That makes it even worse. That's not a defense.
So we're trying to, and I say this, one of the most frequent questions I get asked is, are we going to do trick or treat? Right?
Yep.
And I say this, we're red right now. If we're red right up to it, the answer will be probably no. But I want to do trick or treat.
So let's say I live in Methuen.
Yeah.
And I don't want to listen to you.
Yeah.
And I say, the government can't tell me I can't put candy out for kids. Screw them. I'm going to do it anyway. What happens?
We'll handcuff you and lock you up.
You will.
Is that what you want me to say?
No.
We'll cite you. We'll fine you.
Yeah. You're going to fine me for giving kids candy.
I guess we're sitting here. Today's October 1st.
Yeah.
Now, you got some Irish blood in you. What was the first thing you said this morning?
Hi?
No. See,
where's my coffee?
An Irish guy
I said, where's my coffee?
When they get out of bed, first thing on the first day of the month, the first thing they're supposed to say is...
thank God Trump is president of the United States first thing in the morning.
I didn't say. I said, rabbit, rabbit.
Hey, what?
You're supposed to say, rabbit, rabbit. It cuts the bad luck.
Really? 53 years as an Irishman, I've never heard that.
It's true. Well,
almost 54 now.
Yeah. Can I ask a clarification question with regards to Halloween?
Yeah.
What if you just leave, like a lot of houses do this, they just leave the bowl out front. You can't ring the doorbell, nothing, we're not answering. It's just out there.
Yeah, so I like that. So what we're thinking through in the city side, Ben, is respectful question and will be answered, unlike certain people. The problem is in the bowl. You can't have collective people dipping in the bowl. Now, having said that, as long as we get out of the red, there are ways to do it. You could put a table. You could put or you could put a table in front of your house and lay the candy out, so that the kid's not rifling through. They're picking one and taking it, right? And then you replace. Right? It would have to be packaged. The people who pride themselves in doing homemade things for trick or treat, probably not the year for it. But we're looking at those kind of guidelines. The point I make is I recognize that the community wants to do trick or treat for Halloween. I love that. It's my favorite month of the year. I would like to make that a potential for us. If we don't address the red part of it now, if we get 3 consecutive red rating periods, it's really going to be difficult for us to do.
So that kills my next question, which is when can businesses go back to 100% capacity and stop, getting back to work?
Yeah, well, so because red, the state moved to phase 3, step 2 this week. Methuen is not allowed to move to phase 3, step 2 because we're red. There's lots of impacts to being red. So at the high school sports
from
level,
17 sicknesses,
62.
62 sicknesses.
62 sicknesses, of which 17 were under the age of 19.
Okay.
So we're looking carefully at our student age population so that we can prepare for our hybrid reentry, right? So it's not debatable that our incident rate has climbed. Our deaths, fortunately, since August, we have not had another death, right? But, as we start reemerging here, as kids go back to school, right, they could bring it home to people like you and me. I keep using that example. And that's a worry that we have to prepare for. Listen, the sooner we buckle down and address the red, right? If we're yellow, we can move forward, right?
How do you address the red? How do you address it?
I told you. So we're launching that website for people to cite things. There's a lot of personal responsibility. You communicate, right? We're hiring 2 code enforcement agents, right? I don't know what else to call them.
Mask police?
Well, yeah, and they're not there to, let me be clear, they're not there to raise revenues for the city.
Kind of sounds like it.
No. So they're there.
What's the fine? Well, they come in, I'm not wearing a mask.
If I've been to you, if I told you how many calls I get during the day that about restaurant X, they're cooking food, they're not wearing their masks, right? If I've had the health inspectors in to see you 3 times, and 3 times we've given you the message, what does that say if you keep doing the behavior? Not getting the message.
Right.
Right? I would suggest to you, at that point, you should be fined.
I think that's reasonable.
Yeah, you're possibly endangering the public health, right? The managers, the owners have a responsibility to, I want all the restaurants open. I want all the bars open. But you can't get there until you get people to buckle down, right? We've gone through periods where the city has done very, very well, right? And now it's been a prolonged stretch, so it's like any behavior. It varies over time, right? And so people are tired of COVID, and they just want it to be over.
Right.
But
we're all just sick. We're all just sick of it. All of us.
I get
we're
it.
Just sick of it.
I'm sick of it.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean we can ignore it and it'll go away.
Right.
You have to address it.
And we're 7 months into 3 weeks of flattening the curve. And, it's kind of a little tough for a lot of people. We have some quick questions.
Sure.
We'll do some rapid fire questions from the audience.
Rapid fire.
Jen Jones wants to know.
I know Jennifer.
Is there any, I love her so much. Can't believe she ran off and got married on me. I was so mad.
I don't know how you know all this information about people. Is there?
It's just who I am. Jen Jones says, "What about the dog park? I know that it was on track before COVID.
Yep.
Is there anything moving on the dog park?
No, not right now, to be honest with you, but it will be once we get through the colder weather. We started and then we put it aside.
Dan Shibboleth wants to know.
Dan Shabilia.
Shabilia.
Yeah.
I'm actually liking him more and more these days.
Now
that me and Mental Mark aren't friendly anymore. Did you just block him the other day? He put this big thing on Facebook about how you blocked him and you're mean. You're a big meanie.
So I'm not blocking many people, but he put this prolonged post out there how I'm paying too much attention to COVID, not enough attention to people shooting fireworks off. And I said, okay, that's enough. Mm-hmm. So,
Dan Shibboleth asked, "What does
Shabilia.
Whatever. What does the mayor have to say about city employees that feel the need to leak stories because they're worried that wrongdoings of certain employees will be buried and swept under the rug?"
Yeah, so thank you for asking that in a public forum, Dan. Any wrongdoing behavior will not be swept under the rug by me. So hopefully the citizens of Methuen have seen that, and I keep saying this, I'm not claiming to be Albert Einstein, right? I make mistakes. I've had people tell me, you're not political enough. I don't know if I consider that an insult or a compliment. I make my decisions with my head and my heart. My head for the facts and data, and my heart with, what I believe to be right. And I point to the decision I made on intermittent officers that not everybody agrees with. I read the law. What I did was apply the law, right? And those officers impacted have an arbitration on that, and that will be heard, and a decision will be rendered. So I say to you, Dan, I'm not willing to sweep any behavior under the rug. Anything that gets reported. So we have a full-time HR director now. We will have a full-time city solicitor. I don't know if Dan's interested in that job. I know he's a lawyer. We will have a full-time assistant city solicitor. And it's time for us to be a professional organization and address things like some of the stuff that came out in social media and Facebook, and not sweep them under the rug, but address them. So I want to be clear. I'm not suggesting any wrong behavior gets swept under the rug. All I'm suggesting is until things are adjudicated, employees have rights, right? And I believe that strongly. And that's...
You still could have put out a press release that said, without the names, that 4 employees were disciplined, it's moving forward, maybe the union's grieving it, I don't know, whatever that is.
Yeah.
But you could still let people know. I think people are so hypersensitive about the transparency thing because we've had years of no transparency.
Maybe.
And so even sometimes when you're not covering things up,
yep.
people worry that you're going to cover things up, or that it's been covered up because it hasn't been talked about publicly. And I think getting back to the heart of Dan Shabilia's
good job
question, thank you. His question is what does the mayor have to say about the city employees that feel the need to leak stories because they're worried about the wrongdoing and being swept under the rug?
So,
which I think is a great question.
It is a great question, and it's troublesome to me. And so I've started, one of the things that I've started now that we're moving forward is what I call coffee with the mayor.
Mm-hmm.
In private industry, you call it a skip staff meeting. So, starting next Thursday, I have the first coffee with the mayor, and the people are randomly selected. They're not the department heads don't come to it. Employees come and we talk about what they want to talk about. And hopefully over time, these employees will learn to trust me, right? I personally am offended by things being leaked, but I have to put that aside in light of the comment that you made that maybe this is the environment that people are used to. I'm not willing. Hopefully people, whether they agree with me or disagree, understand that there's only one area that gets me really passionate. Don't question my integrity.
Right.
Right? Question my looks, question what I wear, question a decision I made. All of it's up for grabs. You could say, I'm dumb, I'm the worst man ever. You could say, oh, just shut up, man. Right?
Just quit your yapping.
But all the decisions I'm making, even the ones I make when they're wrong, I'm trying to make them with the best interests of the city at heart.
Right.
I don't have any political... I've got no great scheme. I'm not Dick Dastardly planning on, how Methuen can make me a rich man. It's not working if that's the case, right? Because I'm making less than I could be making. And that's a simple fact.
Well, let me get to something a little bit controversial.
Go ahead.
So you initially hired Tom Lucio
to
be your community guy, right?
Director of Business Strategies.
All right. I know titles are important to people who have titles.
Do I have a title?
So I guess my question is, since the council got rid of that position because they didn't like the guy that was in it, when more people come,
so just so in the area, so and I've said this publicly at the time, and I've got people thinking I didn't stand up and defend Tom enough. I've got people thinking I did. I've got people who said Tom Lucy is a felon. Tom Lucy is not a felon. Tom Lucy would have been good in the strategic initiatives job. Right. There's many things. So my office the chief of staff and I are working 14 to 16-hour days. Right. There's a what load of work to do. Right. Is somebody calling me on the city phone? They're reporting a COVID violation.
Yeah, they shouldn't be calling the mayor for that.
It's the chief of staff.
You don't call. She should know better.
Yeah,
she should know better.
Yeah.
But they shouldn't be calling the mayor because they saw somebody not wearing a mask.
I'm okay with it.
That's kind of ridiculous.
I'm okay with it. So part of it goes back to Dan Shabilia's question.
Yes.
So that's it's a great question. It's
I haven't asked the question yet.
You did. It's a behavior that's learned over time. It's people need to learn to trust that I'm going to do the right thing. I'm not willing to sweep anything under the rug.
Right.
I'm not making side deals. That's how it works.
So getting back to Tom Lucia. So you hired him. The city council didn't like who you hired, so they zeroed out his position in the budget, and you had to lay him off. When money starts coming back, when the state starts with the revenue flow again, and more money comes back, hopefully there's another CARES distribution from the federal government or more.
Yeah.
Is there a plan maybe in the future to bring back that position?
Bring back the position, yes.
But it's going to be really difficult to bring back Tom.
Well, I don't think he wants to come back, first of all, and who could blame him? We may have to shape the position a little. So some of the things, press releases and things like that, if John Mallory can't get to them, I got to do them myself. Right. So there's a lot of cases where I should be doing press releases that I'm not, but we're pretty short-staffed.
Right.
So there's a lot going on. So if you watch the council meeting on October 19th, that's when I go back. So the state numbers are in, and we're going to come back to the council. And so I say this now in advance. We're going to true up the budget, meaning we're going to talk about, okay, we predicted we'd be getting $7 million less from the state government than we're going to get. We now know what we're going to get.
What is that?
It's about almost $6 million less.
Okay.
So
you'll have an extra $1 million that you didn't think you were going to have.
Well, we'll have $1 million, yeah. And there's still some budget excess capacity. So I've been working with some guides from Sean Cronin and some guides from the CAFO, and I've started talking to the councilors, and I'll present to them in the course of the next week my plan for going out and what we're going to do. Right, and what we intend to do.
Where are you on the police contract? On the
Superiors?
On the Superiors.
It's going to arbitration in November.
I mean, that's not what I meant to
sorry.
ask. The audit, the police audit.
So that's well underway. Survey was, I don't know if I said that last time I was here, had over 80% participation, a lot of passion in it. That was a great thing. They're deep into doing an examination of policies and procedures, and
we just turn the ringers off when we start our show.
It's the chief of staff, yeah.
Yeah, she should know that you're on my show.
So we're they're looking at similar police departments from similar sized communities, similar geographies, similar crime statistics. So they make a recommendation to us on how they believe the police department should be structured, right? And that's an important piece because we did have some reductions there. And we've had, the chief move some people around, and there was a discussion at council a while back, and I've refrained from weighing in until I see that evidence come back from the audit. And then they're moving into the month of October. They're moving into the one-on-one discussions. They are planning to be done by the end of October. So that's a good thing.
So when will the public know? When will you be able to announce to the public what the results are of the audit?
Early November.
Oh, really? So before the end of the year?
Oh, yeah.
What did you think of the city council taking a vote of no confidence in the chief before the audit?
Yeah. Well, and so I want to be clear here. So I'm not defending the chief, and I'm not criticizing city council. I think it's preemptive. But I look at it, and I think I said this on the council floor. I look at things from a legal perspective and how they impact the city.
Right.
And so do I get the frustration of the residents? I do. But here's the thing. A former mayor and 9 former city councilors reviewed the chief's contract. Right? So my answer to that is I have a professional labor council. So I sat with the solicitor, and he said this is going to take, some... So I have a professional labor council taking a look at the chief's contract and comparing it to Mass General Law and coming back to me to say, is there something in it that shouldn't be in it? Right? And that's the only way for the contract piece of it to put all of this behind it, right? Because again, I'm not saying for or against. you had a former mayor and 9 city councilors who voted for that contract.
Right.
Should they have? That's a different question. But that ship has sailed, right? It's now up to this mayor to try to do what he can within the guidelines of the law, and that's what I intend to do.
So I don't want to sound like Chris Wallace, but I think my question was, how frustrating is it that while we're waiting for the results of an ongoing audit that the city council had jumped at and decided to take a vote of no confidence in the chief when they don't even have the results of the audit yet?
Yeah. Well, I wish they'd waited for the end of the audit.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm a facts and data guy. Dan Shabilia uses that line all the time, the facts and data guy.
Yep. So, all right. Do you have anything else you want to share?
We got any other questions?
No, because you covered some of the answers during your little talk. Let's see. We'll see if we can. I've got something for you on the school department, but I'll talk to you about that after. We have a parent complaining about teachers asking children to be political, sending home assignments to watch CNN. To do a story on the presidential election. I don't know why they would ask somebody to watch a Democrat.
Why would that?
Run.
If that was like, what's the class? I can't think of it. If it's a high school level
civics class,
if that's a high school civics class. What would be the harm in that? They're not telling them to make a decision one way or another. Being political.
Well, if you tell them to watch CNN, you are, because that's just Trump bashing 24/7. It's not even news anymore. Like they could say, go home and watch the news.
Yeah.
And then write a story about whatever the topic happens to be, the presidential election or whatever. But when they specifically say go home and watch CNN, well, you can put on CNN at any given time, and all they do is bash Trump. There's no news there anymore.
You watch
it's
Fox?
Not even news. No, I watch CNN all day in my office.
Do you?
All day I watch CNN.
Right.
I watch Tucker at 8, and then I go right back and I watch.
Tucker's not
I
on
watch
CNN.
Como.
He's on Fox.
Right, and then I go right back to Como and Don Lemon. Afterwards.
I personally believe that all news is filtered now.
Yep.
From one side or the other.
I
hardly suggest to the population, if you're looking for something to keep abreast of the national, I don't watch CNN, MSNBC, or Fox. I get a magazine called The Week, and let me tell you what I like about it. It says, here's the issue that's being debated, here's what the left is saying, here's what the right is saying, you make up your mind.
Right.
And I like that.
But it is important to watch Fox and CNN, although I watch CNN a lot more.
I watch PBS.
Just to see what the talking points of both sides, how both sides are spinning things, so you can kind of whittle through all the bull crap and figure out for yourself what's real.
Yeah.
You know? But CNN's not, I mean, legitimately, objectively speaking, CNN's not a news station anymore. It's just Trump bashing 24/7. Yeah. When anchors come out and say the president is a lying liar who lies and kicks puppies and he's a Nazi.
A lying liar who lies.
That's not news. That's an opinion.
Yeah.
And those are anchors that are doing that. I mean, Jim Acosta's standing outside the White House talking about the president being a lying liar who lies when you're supposed to be a reporter who's just supposed to come out and tell us what happened today.
So let me tell you, my friend, the days of Walter Cronkite are long over.
It's so sad, but I think you're right.
Right.
Any parting things before you go?
No. Stay positive, Methuen. So try and help get us out of the red. I'm open to your feedback if there's things you think we ought to be doing that we're not doing. We got 2 things. We got lots of open positions. So you asked about the school department. So we've got lots of vacant teacher positions. We've got program assistant positions. We've got custodial positions. We've got positions open on the city side. We've got assistant city solicitor. We've got a city solicitor. Jobs that are open that we'll be interviewing for. We've got the code enforcement officers that are there. Even if these are just part-time through the end of the year and you'll be outside 90% of the time. We've got openings in the treasurer's office. We've got several openings, right? And we've got unemployment that's north of 17%. So I get that people are anxious. I say to you, here's a 62-year-old guy who is not a fitness model, in case you didn't notice that. And I'm going into work every day. I wash my hands a lot. I wear a mask. I take the precautions. And, I think there's room for us to do a lot more, right? So take a look at the city website for the jobs. Take a look at the city website for, our new system. That'll be coming soon with the DPW stuff, but right now it's out there with the COVID stuff. We're going to be immensely proud of it, and we're going to be able to provide statistics to people like you that said we patched X roads, we We paved X roads, those kind of things.
We have one more question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Real quick. She says, maybe I missed it when you were talking about reopening. Are we canceling Methuen Day considering we are back in the red zone?
Yeah, so Methuen Day is, who asked that? That's a great question.
That was Jen Jones.
Hey, Jen Jones. So we're not because it's virtual. So
Wait,
what?
Wait,
what? That was my imitation.
Humana.
You're not going to have to get out of your car. So if you want to get a flu shot while you're there Saturday, you're going to get a flu shot. If you're in line, you got to get a bag for you or the kids from the mayor that has hand sanitizer and some other goodies in it. The fire department is going to be giving away bags with there's going to be pumpkins picked up, all of it while you stay in your vehicle.
So you have to stay in your vehicle. You can't get out and walk around.
Nope.
Wow. It's more and more like communist Russia every day.
Communist Russia.
Wow.
I don't think so. Can we count on you for media coverage?
Kind of seems that way. Well, here's the thing.
I think Council Ziegler has done an excellent job.
She's phenomenal. She should have been council president. If Councilor Ziegler sends me an ad for Methuen Day, I will put it in the paper for free, no charge.
Yeah.
And if they need any additional help, I'll be happy to help them out with it.
I love that. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Well, I mean, I love what they do, and I was part of the first Methuen Day.
Yep.
Even though that caused all kinds of problems because Tim Wood was all upset that I was going to be in a dunk tank because that was going to give me credibility somehow.
I wish we were still doing the dunk tank.
Yeah.
I would do the dunk tank. I'd stay in it for 6 hours.
Yeah, it was so
money.
cold. Believe me, after an hour, you'd be willing to get out.
Yeah.
Because I was ready to do all day, and after an hour, it was so cold the day that I did it. I was like, "Oh my god!" And the water was freezing.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff. Anything else? Anything good controversial you want to drop before we go? Make some news? Anything? Or you want to save that for your column this weekend?
I'll save it for my column. Let's focus on the positive, right? Let's stop all the social media.
Positive doesn't bring in ratings.
Well,
controversy brings in ratings.
Well, and that's sad. That's sad.
Well, that's how it is.
I'm
not saying I make these rules. I'm just abiding by them.
Salacious news, huh?
Yeah. Well, we got some big news. Honestly, Ben, when I asked him the big question at the beginning if he's going to run for re-election, and he said, I made a decision. I thought for sure he wasn't going to say it on the air, but he did. He gave us a good story. So I'm actually over the story about the hacking now because you gave it. Listen, all I want is to be able to be the first one to get the breaking stories if I can get them.
Yeah.
So are we finally now done with all this COVID baloney? We can go back to having a poker games because you said yes a month ago, and we saw.
Well, if you can wear your mask during the poker game, we can do it.
All right. Okay. So if I schedule a game for a Friday night, you'll be there.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. I want to thank.
The mayor.
Well, yes, of course, we want to thank the mayor. We want to thank Methuen Mayor Neil Perry for coming in today. We want to thank McLennan Real Estate.
She's the best.
She is the best. AFC Urgent Care, Marsan and
She's
Son.
the best too.
EIS Investigations. They're the best too, right? Keep trying to get them.
Yeah. I'm paying attention.
Climate Design Systems. I just talked to Nina this morning. I really appreciate Climate Design Systems. If you need any problems with your climate designs or any of that. Borelli's Deli, Lenny Mira,
Don
State Representative.
Smiriglio.
Love Don Smiriglio. He was there, but he was so busy I didn't get a chance to say hi to him today. Lenny Mira, State Representative, who will be with us in a couple of weeks. Clear Path New England, helping out homeless veterans.
Quickly.
Yes.
We've got an opening for Veterans Service Director. That's another room that's going around. No pre-selected candidate. There's a survey out in the community to talk about what we need that person to be.
Right.
What are the needs that we're not fulfilling? Answer the survey. Willing to sit down and talk to anybody about it. So
and a free plug for 4-Star Lighting and Electric. 4-Star Lighting and Electric.
He was on the show with me once.
Yep. Joe Silverio, a great guy. We're going to have him in here again, and we're also going to try and get Buddy from Climate Designs in again, so we can give them some free plugs, free airtime. Next week, one of my girls is coming on. Christina Lynn's going to be here. Wait until you see how hot she is. Just wait.
God.
Just wait. Like she's here to talk about important stuff. Yeah. Just wait. Like we're gonna do a 3-hour show next week because I'm not gonna want to leave.
Yeah.
And then the following week we've got Clear Path New England is coming back, and then the following week I just booked it last night and I can't remember. I think Buddy Thomas maybe the following week from.
Can you do me a huge favor? As much as I like you, don't apply for any jobs in the city of Methuen.
Climate Designs. No, and if I just say that there's a candidate that I like, Steve Saber's going to be like, no, we can't have him. Tom Duggan likes him.
That's not
so,
true.
anyways, hey, you know what? Let me just one more thing. You know, Steve Saber said something at a meeting that I thought was actually really smart. Talking about getting interns. You should get yourself an intern for your office. Help you with all that stuff.
We have one.
All right, Melvin Taylor says we got to go home for some reason.
Yeah, go home.
So we got to go home. So go home already.
Telling you to go. Meet me at the Worthing House and I'll save a seat for you. At the altar where old sorrows go to die. You can't lend me an ear and some money for beer just like you always do. And I'll tell you you're the greatest friend alive. And we'll carry on like brothers, even though we know it's a lie. So lead with your right. All your friends and adversaries, well, they're getting pretty tight. You better lead when you're right. Either way, you're out of money, and the barmaid's turning on the last call light. Telling you to go home. Telling you to go home. Telling you to go home. Telling you to go home.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.